Well, Mark, thanks for having me on, and thanks for the kind words as well. And you're right, I am not the greatest athlete, but I had this incredible privilege to serve for 4 years. Look, the Chinese Communist Party presents the singular great threat from outside the country. And I had come to learn through some classified information that the Chinese Communist Party was tracking all 50 of our governors in great detail and evaluating them. Mark, if you can believe this, giving them a rating. You're on the team, off the team, or we're working on you, essentially. And so I'd seen also that the Governors Association was going to have a meeting in Washington, D.C. I called then Governor Larry Hogan and then Governor of New York Cuomo, the two leaders of the NGA, and asked for 20 minutes. I don't think they could figure out why the Secretary of State wanted to come see the governors, but when I was there, Mark, and it was a sleepy Saturday afternoon, they were kind of paying attention to me. But when I told them that I had in my hands a recently declassified report where the Chinese Communist Party had been tracking them, following them, measuring them, evaluating them, working on them, every one of them wanted to see what I had in my hands. And it sends the lesson to us that this problem from the Chinese Communist Party isn't somewhere over there. It is inside the gates. They are tracking lots and lots of Americans in the business world, senior leaders in government, not just at the federal level like we saw with Representative Swalwell. They're working to do both propaganda and collect secrets. We have to do better, and that day I alerted the governors to that very risk.
You dealt with the leadership of that regime. What did you make of the leadership of that regime? Are they cold-hearted, bloodthirsty individuals? Are they power-hungry? What was your conclusion?
Goodness, all of the above. Cold-hearted, power-hungry, don't give a whip about humanity, human dignity, basic rights, political freedoms, religious freedoms. Those are all nothing burgers to them. It is about power and making the nation of China the greatest hegemonic power in the history of civilization. Xi Jinping himself calls it the great struggle, trying to build what they call the middle kingdom, and the middle means middle of this earth. He's consolidated power in ways that no leader in 40 years has consolidated. His intentions with respect to the West, to the United States, are pretty clear. And they've got lots of problems inside of China, and we need to exacerbate them and defend our own way of life here. If we don't get this one right, Mark, our kids and grandkids will live in a country that looks a lot more like theirs than ours, and that's just totally unacceptable.
They're a greater threat in many ways than the old Soviet Union was, aren't they? Because they've really embraced economic policies that have caused them to assimilate within our own economic system. They're very strategic about surrounding the United States, whether it's the Panama Canal in our hemisphere, the western side of Africa. They're building military arsenals that can reach the United States and so forth. So it's not just proxy wars and satellites, is it?
Oh, you've got it exactly right. It's much bigger than that. Indeed, the primary confrontation battlefield here is one we didn't really have with the Soviets. It is economic, where they've stolen tens and tens of thousands of jobs from the American people and stolen billions and billions of dollars worth of intellectual property. It's inside the gates too, Mark. In the book, I talk about the spying operation that was being conducted out of the Chinese consulate, their diplomatic facility in Houston, Texas, which I closed. I gave the president the recommendation. He said, go ahead and do it. We'd known about that for a long time, Mark. They were operating what was the single largest spying operation, I believe, ever conducted inside the United States. And we knew it. We just hadn't done anything about it because we didn't want to make them mad. We didn't want to anger them. For the first time, you saw an administration acknowledge the risk from the Chinese Communist Party and begin to push back on 50 years of American weakness with respect to it.